What's up, everyone? Welcome to Salting Your Podcast Late Night Edition. I'm joined by Matthew Kadish, the man behind the curtain for the SNP, and Conspiracy Tom. And as always, on this Monday night, we're talking about the newest episodes of Outer Range. The
Yeah,
awesome,
Alex, you
awesome
might want to turn your air conditioner
Oh,
on.
that's right. I forgot. I forgot obviously.
It's like he's on an airplane or something.
Oh, my bad, guys. My bad. It's all right. There's only one person watching, so it's fine. I poured myself a mega pint of red wine in honor of Johnny Depp. Cheers to
Yes,
that
we're
guy.
working on a T-shirt for that.
Are you? Oh, excellent. I've already seen a couple of TikToks where people were like had took the audio from that clip where he was in the courthouse, and then they had a
Jude is
picture.
obsessed with that trial.
Is she
That's
really?
like
Oh, of course she
she
is.
can't get enough of it. She has dreams about it.
We should.
Oh
You know
my
what?
God.
Honestly, dude, if we have a little extra time tomorrow, we should sit down and talk about it with her, just to put it out there as a video or something like that.
Well, she's not participating tomorrow, so
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Are you going to be there for all three
Tom
episodes?
is pinch hitting for her.
Yeah, I can be there from 10 to 1. So you got me from 10 to 1.
Okay. Are we doing the main show with you, Tom? The S&P Weekly?
Yes, we are.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun talking about those shitty ass movies with you.
Dude, I watched all those kids when I was all those movies when I was a kid, and I was rewatching Fortress, and I'm like, this is the worst. Christopher Lambert is the worst actor that ever lived.
He really
How did
is.
he ever? Who put him in movies? Does he
don't
speak
know.
English? Is the whole
French.
time I'm like, does he speak English?
I don't know. He has a really heavy accent for some reason.
He has like a made up
He-
accent.
He's also blind. I don't know if you guys know this. Like he can't.
No.
He's got a retinal condition where he can't use contacts, and so if he's not wearing his glasses, he can't see anything. Which is why
How
he
is he
constantly gets injured when he's doing his stunts.
What?
Yeah, like he's literally like he can't see anything. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I did
That's
not
really
know that.
weird.
That
That's
makes
really
sense
weird.
why he has that kind of like stupefied look on his face every time he's acting, then.
Hey,
But
we can do plenty of complaining about Christopher Lambert tomorrow.
Dude, how hot is Lauren Lachlan in that movie?
Oh, super hot.
I was like,
super hot.
why wasn't she in anything else, man? Like she's gorgeous.
Freaking Red
I
Foreman
think-
as a cyborg. That was good.
Oh my God. I mean, okay, I kept having to try to figure out what came first, RoboCop or this, because it's so bad. I figured RoboCop came out years later.
Well, this
No,
was a
RoboCop's
90s
got it.
movie.
Yeah, RoboCop's got it beat by like 8 years.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
crazy. That movie's awful.
Good old Red Foreman.
Yeah, and I'm gonna watch No Escape tonight when I get home. And I remember that being
Oh.
a pretty good movie,
It's trash.
but I think I was like 12. So
It's trash.
Like-
it's not even sci-fi. There's like nothing sci-fi about it. But anyway, we'll talk about it tomorrow, Tom. Thanks
Yeah.
for being here tonight, man. I really appreciate it. We've got about 5 people watching, so we're gonna get started now. Outer Range episodes 5 and 6. I usually do a breakdown, but I am woefully unprepared for tonight. I had a really busy day with the podcast today, so didn't have a chance to write my own synopsises. So I'm just gonna hit a couple of bullet points, and then we're gonna talk about the episode. So first off, in this episode 5, it's called I think it's called The Soil, and the rival between Royal and Autumn continues to heat up as Autumn lurks around the Abbott household and gets confronted by Cecilia. Cecilia, at gunpoint, escorts her out of the house, and Autumn says something along the lines of like, "There's something already happening. You know, it's beyond us," and something like that. She says some creepy things, which is what
Yeah.
Autumn does.
Can I just say I love the way this episode started.
Oh, this was we got Wayne
this was-
Tillerson, like the aftermath of the fight from the last episode.
Yeah, so like we see Royal get knocked out, and Tillerson drives back home, and he's like all jacked up, and he gets home, and like the music that's going on in the opening scene, it was just like so like creepy and weird.
Yeah.
And like he burst in, he's like, I found it. Then he's like, ah.
Yeah, and then he
has a stroke.
he collapses in front of the front door. His wife, I didn't understand why his wife was staying at the house. I thought she buggered off and like went into town somewhere because they're not together anymore. But I guess she's staying at the Tillerson's home, And
Dude, I got so many questions about the Tillersons in general.
dude, they are so weird.
That is the most uncomfortable family I've ever. The other families like murderers and people are disappearing. I find that home to be much more loving and caring than the home full of insane people right next door. Like they're all crazy.
Well, the crazy thing about this opening was Tillerson's flashbacks. Did you guys notice this? So
Yes.
it cuts back and forth between Royal having a vision of him falling through the void, and he sees the Tillerson kid that he threw in there, and the kid's like
they're like talking to each other.
Yeah, like he's dead, but he's alive, and he's like, "Time's a real bitch, isn't it?"
Yeah, it's super weird.
And Tillerson has like a flashback of Royal as a kid climbing out of that thing and trying to like, pull him into it.
It was so quick. It was so fast. But yeah, somebody. I guess we're guessing it's Royal and
it's
and
definitely
Wayne.
Royal. Yeah,
okay,
definitely, totally on board with that.
This young kid comes popping out of the void, and he's like all in black, which we kind of find out later on in this episode what that's coming from. But it was the creepiest freaking thing. But it was so fast. Like if you blink, you miss it.
Yeah.
And then
I thought it was like a demon coming out of hell for a second.
Yeah,
and then I kind of realized, oh, I see what's going on here.
The whole opening to this episode was really fucking good. It was stylistically like really entertaining, but also like we were learning so much stuff like within the span of like a couple minutes. And it was just like, man, this is a good way to open the show.
Yeah. And this is a great comment. It said, it starts out good, but it becomes a snore fest afterward, from Jim Alaska. These two episodes, I feel like if it was a different show, I would call them filler episodes, but there's so much information. So much information dropped in these two episodes.
And weird stuff happening.
Yeah, that I can't call it. It's not filler, but I will say it definitely feels like the calm before the storm, because we're coming up on the end of the season. And I think they're setting up a bunch of really heavy-hitting stuff in the next couple episodes.
And we were talking earlier that I love the 2-episode drop week to week.
Yeah.
Because like it's enough to make you feel like you're binging it. Because I think you can really only watch like 2.5 maybe episodes of something a night if you're binging something.
Yeah.
But like the 2-episode per week thing is really working for me. Like I'm getting enough of it where I'm like, ooh, this is good, and then I still want more.
Yeah. It's a great happy medium between like the week to week, one episode a week, which we're dealing with Halo right now, which is driving me insane because the show's not good enough to pull off the week to week episode thing. But I also don't really like the binge model because I feel like it robs whatever community it might build around itself from doing stuff like this, from talking about the episodes. So like
questioning what's to come, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like shows that are like Stranger Things, which I love Stranger Things. They binge that. The conversation is done within 2-3 weeks after that show comes out, and then nobody talks about it anymore. So I really like. I agree with Kadish. This is like a really great happy medium for TV show drops.
So I got to ask you, you guys both watch them back to back, or do you watch them at separate times?
I watched them back to back.
I watch them back to back too. And let me tell you, I rely on your synopsis to let me know what's happened because it all blurs together to me. And I'm not 100% sure what happens in each episode. Like I sat there and watched the whole thing, but if I was to tell you chronologically from memory what happened, because it jumps around so much and there's so many weird storylines happening, I need you to guide me through this to be like, okay, we're not to the other part yet. Okay, very good. Okay.
Well, most of the storylines are kind of silly. Like I don't care about them, especially like the brothers storylines. Like I'm just and the wife. The thing I liked about this episode was that you have Royal playing detective basically, and I was like, I love watching Royal like figure this shit out and follow like the leads that he gets, and everything else I was just like, I don't care.
Real quick, let me just talk. Let me give you a quick 1-paragraph synopsis about what you're talking about, and then we can kind of dive into it. It says, Royal takes the necklace to a specialist who says that Wayne Tillerson spoke to her about wanting to get some land surveyed, but then she never heard back from him. Royal lets her evaluate the rock, and she says amber is encasing whatever's inside, and us Jurassic Park fans are freaking out about right now. She says,
it's got amber.
It's amber. It's an amber. It's got dinosaurs. Time travel. As she talks, he investigates framed photos on the wall, and he finds the BY9 logo that he saw from his future in the void, and he refuses to leave the rock behind for testing, and he calls the number for BY9, but it is completely disconnected. And then it says Royal runs to or goes to his home and crushes Autumn's rock in a vice. There, it's a strange black powder inside the rock, and as Royal mushes it in his hand, he sees the weird wispiness again, the same effect that hovers over the void. He sees a vision of Cecilia holding him. We're assuming that it's his death that she mentioned in the previous episode. And Autumn is there too, and in this vision, Autumn sees Royal alive standing there, and he looks down at his hands as the black substance dissipates.
She's got a new necklace on her.
Yeah. So
and the yellow shirt.
Yes, Autumn.
Well, guys, I don't know if you picked up on this or not, but you know how Autumn is like independently wealthy?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing that her family owns BY9. Like that's her family's like company, and she's like,
the benefactor.
The benefactor.
I did not make that connection, and now that you say it out loud, it's like okay, okay, all right, interesting idea. Oh, super interesting.
Autumn's last name is what? Rivers, correct?
Yeah, who knows?
I think it's Autumn Rivers, is what the pharmacist said in the last episode. So I'm wondering, we'll have to keep keep an ear out for the last name Rivers that has something to do with BY9. But I'm curious, like, okay, so I really enjoyed them when we show Royal like crushing the rock, and he picks up that black substance and it gets all over his hand, which is exactly what happened when he stuck his hand in the void. And he gets that vision of his future where he dies, where he's not quite time traveling, but he's able to kind of like be there. So this black substance, whatever it is, that's what controls time.
One of the things that they establish in the next episode, very like hardcore, like this is our mythology, is that there's this time mineral, right, that seems to exist on Tillerson or Abbott land, and the mineral that we see Royal crushing up in this episode basically allows us to observe the fourth dimension, which is time. So we can see length, width, and height, but this metal apparently exists on the fourth dimension of time. And when we are able to manipulate it, we're able to observe that dimension. And that's what Autumn basically like establishes in the next episode. And I was like, that's a really fascinating kind of take on time travel.
Well, it's kind of like
it's not necessarily traveling, but it's the observing of
like Interstellar.
Yeah.
Like Interstellar, right?
Like in the Tesseract?
When he goes into the Tesseract, and like it's like time becomes a tangible thing.
Right.
And you can observe it from different points of view. But it probably has something like a Donnie Darko thing where it's like you can only observe within your lifetime, is what it seems like.
Oh, okay.
Well, but Royal traveled beyond his lifetime.
Beyond his death.
In that 2 years beyond his death.
Well, this is also true. There is so much weird shit going on. Time travel is always tricky, and this is getting weirder by every episode. And I'm in no way complaining, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a season 2 now. There's definitely not. It's not just season 1. This is gonna go on for a while, and it's gonna get weirder and weirder. And Doc Brown's gonna show up at some time with a Tesla truck that he converted, and he's be traveling through time. It's only going to get crazier. And I'm on board. It's super fun.
What are your guys' theories? Because I'm having a hard time with this right now. So we've established that this mineral that's within this rock is what's causing these time variants. And we see entire mountains disappearing. What is the significance of the void? Is it just a solid hunk of this material that like creates a black hole type thing where you can pop in and pop out? Or because if the mineral is something that you can grab and tangibly hold, and then by holding it, you transfer yourself to a different time, why is there a giant hole in the field? Like, I don't understand the connection between that and between the mineral in the rock.
Well, keep in mind, Royal didn't transfer himself to a different time through it. Like when it absorbed into his skin, he was able to observe.
Yeah, that is a different
vision of the future.
Okay.
And that was kind of like when he put his arm in the hole in like the first or second episode, he was able to see a vision of the future then as well. It wasn't until he went through the void that he was able to travel, physically travel through time.
So here's something I want to put out there. They've established that the lady from the university did studies, right? Why wasn't the hole there the whole time? And did whatever she was doing have something to do with it as well?
So it wasn't a
because
university, though.
she obviously knew what it was. She had a full 100% understanding of what that rock was. She didn't want to give it up.
Well, so
it was precious to her.
Royal basically takes the business card that he found at the Tillerson house for the mineral surveyor, and he goes to the mineral survey company to talk to the lady who was on the business card. And she said that she was contacted by Tillerson, but because he doesn't own the land yet, like, she couldn't do anything, so she never went out there. And when
trust her?
And when Royal reveals the necklace to her, she becomes intrigued by it. She's like, we can
run tests on it,
trying to run tests and figure out what the mineral in the amber is. So like I got the feeling that she'd never seen that before, and she was like,
"No
what
way.
is this?"
No, I got the feeling that she knew exactly what it was, because that's the mineral she pulled out of the ground.
So
she didn't pull anything out of the ground, though.
Well, not that she told him.
You guys remember that flashback 9 months prior to the current time period, when Wayne Tillerson had that worker come into his office and say, "Look what I found, boss," and he starts freaking out. He obviously had people exploring the grounds for something like this, and because they found it. So I think the BY9 company might know more than they're letting Royal know.
For sure.
It's possible, especially if Autumn owns it.
Yeah. Right? And which is why she's trying to be on the land. Like, hey, I'd like to stay on your land. Like, and she's looking for that symbol, and she's digging for rocks and stuff. So she knows something about it too.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you guys think was the significance of the dead baby bear this episode?
Dude, that is the weirdest. I think it's some sort of parallel between a mother losing their child and her coming to terms with it, I think. But it's still super weird, man. It's a weird, and then the mama bear shows up later, and that's even weirder.
Let's set this up real quick, because I don't know. So Cecilia kind of goes off on her own little journey in this episode, where she goes to her church, and they have like this weird freaking like group therapy church session, which I thought was super cringe. And because she's really struggling with her spirituality and her belief in God and stuff, and she's not getting any support from Royal, she kind of starts questioning that. And then I like, when I was watching it, for the life of me, the whole time I was watching this, I thought that was like a taxidermy bear that they had, like kind of like how the Tillersons have all the taxidermy, like dead animals and stuff. I thought they had like a taxidermy freaking bear cub or something, and I was like, that's really weird. And then when the realization hit me that that was just like a dead bear that she was dragging around, it was so strange. And then she like was doing some kind of a self-inflicted injury thing, where she was like holding it up to her hand, and she like clasped the bear's jaws around her hand and squeezed so that it would like bite her. I had no idea what the heck was going on with that. That was so strange.
It's so strange.
Also, the mama bear eventually finds Autumn in like wandering on the mountain, and the mama and Autumn just kind of curls up because she doesn't want to spook the mama bear. And the mama bear comes and like looks her right in the eyes and says, "You need to tell him." Like the bear itself is basically like, I don't know if it's Autumn's like mental problem because she's off her meds for so many days by that point, but she hears the bear tell her that you need to tell him.
I heard it too, man. Yeah. It's a weird scene.
That's all. I think
what
all that stuff I think happens in episode 6, not episode 5. But yeah, I mean, we might as well talk about it. But yeah, that was super weird. There's a couple of questions. I want to catch up with the chat here for a second. Silver Scale said, "Aren't Cece's kids cubs biting her real bad right now? Like the whole thing bites for Cece." Okay, so you're saying like
that's what I'm saying. There's a parallel. Yeah, it's a parallel.
So by Perry murdering Trevor Tillerson, that's kind of like biting the hand of his mother, I guess, causing her injury, causing her problems.
I hate Perry so much.
He's kind of a nothing character.
It's one of those writing issues where it's like you make characters intentionally stupid, and you're trying to make him sympathetic, but at the same time he's just dumb, and so like you have no sympathy for him.
Yeah,
and like everything Perry does is just stupid, and it drives me up the wall. And then you got his brother, what's his name, Rhett.
Yeah,
Rhett.
And like his whole storyline these 2 episodes, it's just him hooking back up with that banker
Mary.
girl.
Yeah,
and it's like that doesn't go anywhere. It's like, why is this even in the show? I don't care.
It plays out when they have the confrontation, right? So that scene does play itself out, and he's like sacrificing everything for his brother, and his brother throws it all in everyone's face.
I agree with Silver Scale. I do like Rhett.
Rhett's cool.
Rhett seems more like Royal to me, which I think is an interesting character because he's kind of like a shoot first, ask questions later type dude. And, you know, he, despite everything going around him, he's trying to find some kind of normalcy and trying to like date Mary and try to get together with her. And he wants to, you know, he's falling in love with her.
He wants to leave the ranch, leave his family.
Yeah.
He says he does, but he's a good old boy. And like she says, we've had this conversation before, bro. And now you're covering up for murders. So you're probably still connected to that family a lot harder than you think you are. He's an interesting character. He's very complex. He's a fun character. He's like the most. He's relatable as like a person, right?
I'll tell you who my favorite character is Billy Tillerson.
Billy. Oh, here we go again.
I love Billy. I love me some Billy.
Matt, you are the straightest, like no nonsense guy I have ever met, and you like the weirdest character that's ever met in any TV show ever.
He was singing GNR this episode.
You know what? Great. I will say this. I haven't really been connecting with Billy the last couple episodes. No. I thought he was kind of goofy and weird, like almost like a comic relief type character. But for some reason, in this latest episode, I was like, I think Billy knows, like, he's more competent than we're assuming he is. Because he says a couple of things and he has conversations in this episode. I'm like, oh, that's, like, it was very insightful. And I'm like, oh, Billy has been paying attention this whole time.
Well, the funny thing is that his dad basically wills him everything, like the estate, the fortune, the business.
Yeah.
Even though like he's considered to be like kind of like the black sheep of the family. And like he goes out to go hunting to commemorate his father by killing animals, and he runs into Autumn, and Autumn's like, "I got to show you something." He's like, "Okay." Never met this girl before. Just follows her to the big void hole, and he's like, taken with it. And then like later on, he goes to her hotel room and takes a bath, waiting for her.
Super weird.
So I really do think now that you say like you think Billy's like he's like Kaiser Soseing us on this one, and like kind of like pretending to be something he's not. Like he might have connections to her, and maybe that's where the money's coming from, because they have a genuine like me kind of a connection and a very familiar attitude. Even though Billy and Autumn are super weird,
well
they seem to be connected. You know what I mean? Like they have something.
Is that once Autumn reveals to him the void hole, he finally understands why his father was so obsessed about that land. He's like, "Oh,
that is true.
What Dad was after," but he doesn't tell his brother.
This is what gave Dad an aneurysm.
Do you guys remember who shot Royal? Was it Billy or was it Luke?
It was the other one. It was Luke. It was Luke. Yeah, it was Luke.
Yeah.
Billy wasn't in that scene.
So. Real quick, I want to talk about this scene coming up next here, which is the start of episode 6. So Royal finds Autumn standing by the hole, and he offers her a ride on the ATV.
Oh.
So this scene was really weird. So she hops
that was
on the
all
back
episode
of this,
6. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
She hops on the back of this ATV, and Royal starts driving like a maniac, which is kind of freaking Autumn out, and she starts yelling at him to like stop and whatever. And then she just decides to jump off the ATV.
Bail.
It's just okay, he's not
do you remember the first thing she said to him?
What was that?
She said, "Are you here to push me in?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he says no, which was nice, I guess.
Yeah, but what was he doing? Just scaring her?
I think he was trying to scare her. But I just don't understand her action of like jumping off the ATV didn't make any sense to me, because he's not going to like crash the ATV off a cliff with him on it. Well, so she would be safer if she would just hang on to him.
Royal's definitely playing something very close to the chest that not only the family doesn't know, that we don't know either. Like Royal's playing something very close to the chest on this one, because he won't talk to anybody but April about it, and he's crazy about it, like very insane about it.
Yeah, so he freaks out on her.
Yeah, there's something weird that he's doing that we don't know about.
He also lied to her. He basically said like, "I destroyed your necklace and nothing happened."
Yes.
He did.
His motives are strange. His motives are very strange.
And then he's trying to scare her off because later on, during this ride, he says, stay away from my family, stay away from me, or I will kill you. And then he drives to her camp and he burns all of her possessions.
And he leaves her stranded in the wilderness to
die. With like a broken leg, basically. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
trying to like leave her to die. He doesn't want to kill her outright, but well, maybe he does. I don't know. But he just leaves her out there, which is how she gets that encounter with the grizzly bear the next morning. And I just have to say this because I love this show. I think it's a great show, but god dang it, those freaking CGI animals in this episode were terrible.
They were obvious, wasn't it?
They were so bad. The elk that Billy was trying to shoot,
bad.
So
the elk was
bad. Like the word, like 2002 CGI, and then the bear, like when it was far away, I was like, okay, that's a decently convincing CGI bear. But then when it got like real close to her, I was like, oh, like you couldn't have had like a puppet or something. Like they have bear puppets.
Would you prefer practical effects?
I would have,
like a sock puppet bear, like blah blah blah.
No,
you should tell him blah blah blah.
Like if you have you already, if you're a production crew and you're like, hey, we need a bear for this scene, but we're only going to show its nose and its head, and the actress is going to be reacting to it. I'm like, oh, we have a bear head right over here in this closet that we used on this other TV show or whatever. Like, I think it would have been way more convincing. Like, put a little KY freaking on there, make it look drooly, and sell it.
KY. Now we're talking. now we're using bear heads that are full advantage. I never thought about that angle with the bear head. Just covered in KY.
You guys are overlooking the biggest animal cameo of the episode, which is R.I.P. Frito Guy.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
While he was stuffing his face again?
So like he was driving, he grabbed a can of grape and started chugging it. and when he was done chugging it, all of a sudden the buffaloes in the road were swerved off, and we just assumed that he's dead.
Dude.
Because the interesting thing here is that Tillerson, so like because he's incapacitated, like all of his shit's falling apart, and now that the county surveyor isn't there to take the land, basically they have no way of getting that land legally now, the Tillersons.
Yeah.
Well, and he's obviously on the take, right? Like that. It's so obvious now. It's obvious now.
They admitted
painful.
it. Trevor said to Wayne, like, we've already paid him off. Like, he's going to side with us. So the fact that this guy was driving down the street, and that same buffalo, that dang freaking buffalo that keeps popping up out of nowhere, which I think now the buffalo, I think, might have, like, it's taking a side.
Well, did you notice that? So, like, the buffalo head in the Tillerson home is representative of that ghost buffalo that just keeps appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah, we kind of made that.
But now that the bear is introduced, it's revealed that they have a stuffed bear in the Tillerson household. So like every animal that they introduced in the Tillerson household, remember they had that conversation about where do animal souls go when they die? Right. Yeah. And, Tillerson is like the earth swallows them up, and it could be that we're seeing the spirits of these animals in the real world that correlate with the ones that are hung on the walls of.
Okay, we're getting really deep now. Yeah, now we're getting like, it's not even time travel anymore. Now it's metaphysical. Well, that's like astral plane, and I'm like, oh man, is this show really going to get that crazy?
Yeah, that seems like some Native American mythology type stuff. If we're going to start playing around with like the souls of the animals that come and talk to you.
I was also wondering if the baby bear was a leftover from the mountain disappearing somehow.
I could believe that.
Also, did they not ever show? I can't remember how the baby bear ended up in this episode.
No, she just found it.
Appeared there. Yeah, it was like right on the front door step or something.
How about the hillbilly metal show? Do you guys? It was the weirdest scene in the whole show.
That was.
He's like, I know a place. It ain't like this, and it's like hillbillies playing hardcore metal. And they're all wearing shit kickers and cowboy hats, and it's like, what is this?
Like freaking screamo and shit.
And that was Perry taking Autumn out there.
Yo, and Perry is black sheep, bro. That is a black sheep.
Yeah, you know what's weird though is like they had a conversation where Autumn was basically like, "Hey, we can figure out what happened to your wife without actually figuring out what happened to your wife," and they just kind of leave it at that. It's like, well, what did she tell him after that? Like, I would like to have known.
Honestly, I don't know who has more secrets between Autumn or Royal, but between the two of them, we've got 3 seasons of craziness to unpack, and we're just going to get revelation after revelation about who these two are, because neither one of them is really who they say they are, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Sorry, maybe. Real quick, I want to read this. This is an interesting comment. It says, "What if every person who came out of the hole got an animal kinship? Like Royal got the buffalo, Autumn has the bear." That's interesting, but I seem to think, in my personal opinion, that Wayne Tillerson has a connection with that same buffalo. So he hasn't really messed around with the hole too much. He hasn't come from the hole. So you're assuming that Autumn and Royal both have transported through the void at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I think so. I'm still holding on to that theory, and okay. I still like that theory, and that still could be Royal's sister, which is also an interesting theory. And we have so many theories, and the fact that we're getting the 2 episodes and we sit here and talk about it every week. Mm-hmm. We have so many theories about this show right now. It's unbelievable. It's so fun. I'm waiting for one of them to come true.
You guys want to talk about Autumn's financing real quick? Because we kind of mentioned like where she gets her money from. There was a scene in this where after Royal had burned all of her possessions, she finally makes it back to town, and she calls some mysterious person on the phone and says that, you have one job, and it's to send me money whenever I need it. She demands to see whoever it is or hear from whoever it is, and then she goes and immediately gets a hotel room. So like she received money, like she got wired money from somebody. So what's your theories on that? So we mentioned her having a connection to BY9 mining facility.
Billy. It's Billy.
You think Billy is sending her money?
Yeah. How would he know where the hotel was and all that?
I don't know, but why would Billy be sending her money? He doesn't
they only just met.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like I said, I think she's got a lot of secrets. They're going to come out. I think that she had connections with the Tillersons and that mining company, right? And they met with Billy. I feel like Billy was like the liaison, right? Because the father trusts Billy for some crackhead reason.
Well, because they're kindred spirits.
They crazy people.
They both like music. They both sing. They're very much similar. Like I think there was a comment a little bit ago. Right here. So Silver Scale says Billy is most like his dad, but they both have that kind of like kindred. Singing. They're kind of more into the mythology stuff. And then Luke Tillerson is so much like his mother, where it's all business. It's all about the money. It's all about the ranch, and.
Billy's a visionary. He has the vision, right? He's like the creative driver, which is why I think he used Billy to communicate with BY9 mineral mining company, whatever, and that's how he knows her. And he's financing all of this. He's in control of all the money.
We also need to point out that Autumn is deteriorating because she's been off her meds while she was wandering, and she goes into the pharmacy and they're like, we have this generic brand because we don't have your normal prescription. She's like, oh, it's only for my brain. And then like when she's having lunch with Perry later, you can tell like she's like manic depressive, like something's going on with her brain. In that scene, and it's very interesting.
Oh, she's super bipolar. Yeah, she's a fun one.
Yeah, she's got major issues.
She's as crazy as her teeth look.
All those dude. Every time they freaking shine a light, every time they shine a light in her face, and she's got those eyes, and she's like talking in the weird like freaking rhythmic speech. It's so freaking weird.
And she keeps saying that there's something going on that's bigger than all of us, and I know what it is, and no one else does. And I'm just like,
that's so
can you
crazy.
Tell us already? Can you tell us what's going on?
Is next week the final? Is that the finale's next week?
Yeah,
2 episodes.
Oh my god! Oh,
7 and 8, and then that'll be it. So, like I said, these 2 episodes weren't the most action packed. They had a lot of information. A lot of things happened, but it was kind of dull. So I think this is the calm before the storm.
I do like we finally got the explanation about, what are we calling it, timenium or whatever. The metal is
timenium
that allows us to manipulate time. I like that idea because if you think about it, so like when they talk about on the dimensional scale, it's not like an alternate dimension. It's like X, Y, Z, and then like there's time. And Autumn kind of refers to time in that respect and talks about how that mineral is the thing that allows us to observe it. So like it breaks us out of our 3-dimensional world and brings us into the 4th dimension, which is time. And as a science geek, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
Yeah. I like the possibilities that it holds, because if they do find a way to kind of harness this, then they could theoretically make machinery that utilizes it as like a fuel source or something like that.
Or they could recreate the void hole.
Yeah. Yeah, they could recreate. I don't know what happened to Tom. When he comes back, I'll pop him back in. Yeah, they could recreate whatever. They could have a Stargate almost that goes through time, and they could manipulate it. But I wonder, because we've only seen people go forward, so I wonder if that's only one direction that you can go.
Well, one of the interesting. Well, I mean, Royal did go back in time, right? Like he jumped back in the hole from the future and went back to the past.
Okay. Yeah, so he was 2 years past his death. He jumped back into the hole and he went back to his original time.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that's the one instance of backwards time travel.
Okay.
But it does seem like everything is forward in nature in terms of like the time travel, especially like the visions. Everything is like a vision of the future.
Yeah.
So the question becomes is like how are these void holes created? And
quit calling it a void hole.
When Royal and Autumn shook hands and the mineral in her necklace like activated and the mountain disappeared, how did that work?
Dude,
yeah,
so much. I hope that we don't go down the lost road where we just have like unlimited questions for their unlimited insanity, and then eight seasons from now we're just annoyed as hell.
That would be the worst case scenario for sure.
How old is Josh Brolin? How many seasons can he do this?
The thing I like about this show so far is they're taking their time, but they're establishing ground rules. What's going on with the time travel stuff?
Who's the writer?
We talked about this before.
Yeah, what else has he done?
He's only done stage stuff.
That's right. He's theatrical, which is interesting. Because this is not like a Wes Anderson movie. This is something else, man. This is very different.
Yeah, let me look it up here. So Brian Watkins is his name. And this is his only like TV credit and producer credit. And everything he's done before is just in theater.
Oh, Vader, you suck.
I gotta look at that. Did someone say void hole?
Yeah. Matthew loves the void hole. He can't avoid it.
Oh yeah,
I love him.
It's all about the void hole.
Void hole?
Anyway, I do wonder the mechanics behind the time travel, because they have set some ground rules, but I feel like if they really wanted to, they could throw us a curveball, and I don't.
Oh, anytime now.
I don't feel like it would break any kind of rule that they've established yet. Like they could literally do anything at this point, and I would be like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Well, if I were Royal, I'd be like, is there a way I can go back in time and keep my dumbass kid from killing this dude, so we can avoid all these problems?
He seems so preoccupied with keeping Autumn away from his family that he's not thinking like that. He's not making those decisions like, oh, I wonder if I could go. Like he almost like, in my mind, the way I see him is he's kind of like, he wishes it was just gone and out of his life, and he's trying to keep everybody else away from it so he can just ignore it. And
he's just a simple man. He's just trying to raise his kin.
Vader, I just have to say that since you've come in here, we've gained two viewers, so thank you.
Well, that's because I'm popular and people like me.
Tell us about swagger.
Almost 3K views. Almost 3K views, Vader.
Yeah, getting there.
Tell us more about Star Trek Picard.
It sucks. Don't watch it.
No, please don't. I don't want to sully my good sci-fi with your trash sci-fi. Anyway, okay, so
the second episode ended with the cops coming for the dumbass who wrote down his confession.
Yeah, so real quick, we'll just talk about it because there's this big fight in the Abbott household where Perry comes in and stupidly says like, "Hey, everybody, just so you know, I confess to everything to keep everybody out of harm's way," which is exactly not going to happen. He's going to throw everybody under the bus by doing this. Like, yeah, I killed him. Well, how did you kill him? Well, Rhett was there with me and he helped me dispose of him.
They're all accessories to murder.
They're all accessories. And Rhett calls him out on that, rightfully so. He's like, you're a freaking idiot. You just got every single person in this house in trouble. Like, good freaking job. And they get into a fight and they start scuffling and stuff like that. So I feel the frustration that you're talking about, Kadish, because I'm like watching Perry like destroy his own life, and I'm just like, God dang it, dude, just shut up.
Or, you know, at least like after his talk with Autumn, where she threatens to throw Royal under the bus with the police, at least go to your dad and tell him what happened, and like try to figure out together like what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Don't just like take it upon yourself to be like, I'm gonna write down my confession and hand it into the police station, and then go home and tell everyone so the police can come and arrest me and everyone else.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, it was really dumb.
I hope, you know what? I hope that if they do arrest Perry and they take him to jail, that they kind of use that as a way to kind of just write him out of the show at this point. We're like, okay, we're done with Perry. We're going to move on with the time travel stuff. And the police will be satisfied with a confession and they'll move on. Also, it's Mr. Farnsworth is here. Sorry, a long day. You're going to give Vader a big head. Man, I freaking love your last name. It's incredible. Welcome, sir. Thanks for being here.
Does anyone else find the granddaughter annoying?
Amy? Little Amy?
Little Amy.
Oh, immensely. I find her like she's the worst.
Oh, shut up.
Thank you, Vader.
No, I haven't had an issue with her. She's such a minimal part in this, and I think she's smarter than she should be at her age. I feel like she's got some things figured out that other people don't. But
I find her annoying.
You find her annoying.
I do. I'm pulling an Alex right now.
Kids are annoying. I'll give you that. All right, well, that's pretty much it for like the major plot points for those 2 episodes. Definitely the strangest thing is the group prayer therapy session and the dead bear. Very weird. I also want to know why the bear talked to Autumn, or whether or not because she's obviously kind of a little cracked in the head, she's on medication, maybe she just imagined that. It's possible that was in her head.
There's definitely some type of link between the animal's nature and like the weird time stuff that's going on. You know, we keep seeing these animals just appear, and there's like some type of connection to the void hole with them.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like if they actually ever bother to explain to us what's going on, or if they're just going to leave it to us to kind of theorize and make our own conclusions.
I don't know. What are you expecting for the penultimate episode and the finale next week?
Well,
I don't have anything to drink.
The thing I love about this show is that I don't have any predictions for it. Where like I'm just kind of going along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that we get to find out the secret to Royal's backstory. I'm hoping that we get to learn a little bit more about the void hole, and I hope that
it's so ridiculous. You're doing it just.
I hope that we end the murder storyline, because I just don't care at this point. And and
hey, dude, even the DA doesn't care, or the sheriff's wife. We didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
Oh,
they introduced this whole like family situation, and we just kind of like
they hinted that. I think it was either in the first episode or the second episode where we first see Sheriff Joy. She's leaving home and her wife is there, and they've got a kid in the background. But I
missed that. Yeah,
I forgot to mention this episode had one of the awkwardest, most like I don't know, it irritated me, like an not because it's anti-Christian, but just like the way that it all went down. So Joy, in an attempt to kind of like placate to her potential voters, goes to a local church sermon, and she goes there, and the priest is there like, oh, we're so thankful that Sheriff Joy has joined us. Let's join us in prayer. And this freaking douchebag comes up and starts praying to God to forgive Joy for being a lesbian. It was so awkward.
And the priest is and her friend.
Yeah.
It doesn't say wife, doesn't say that, it says and her friend.
Yeah.
And the sheriff needs the votes of the church, so she doesn't say anything about it, but her wife is like apoplectic with anger over this, because
what was that word?
She just felt apoplectic. She just felt so disrespected. Yeah.
I feel disrespected to use that word in this chat.
Yeah, get a dictionary, Tom.
All right, Dad.
I'm sorry you're not as cunning of a linguist as I am.
Whoa. I don't have word of the day toilet paper like you do.
Anyway.
Well, maybe you'd be smarter if you did.
Oh God, here we go. All
There we
right,
go.
all right,
It's
all right.
it's officially a roast between Kadish and Tom. Oh man. All right, so Tom, what are your predictions for the penultimate episode and the finale coming next week?
I have zero predictions of what's going to happen. I feel like there's too many open storylines happening. I just want to find out who Autumn is.
Okay.
That's all I care about right now. I feel like I have a handle on Royal and kind of the other stuff going on. I want to know where Autumn came from and what she's doing, because she is the biggest mystery for me in the show. And she's the most like intriguing because you just don't know anything about her. Everybody else is connected to family and community, all these things. Who the hell is Autumn and where did she come from? Not to mention, Royal doesn't know how to Google. So a quick Google search of Autumn's name might bring up something.
Yeah.
And we don't do anything with it. So I just really want some revelation of who she is and where she fits into this game, because
we should also
she's the enigma.
We should also point out Autumn carved that symbol into her boob.
Yes, she did.
Oh, that's right. I
That chick
forgot
is-
about that.
That chick is nuts.
Yeah.
She's Amber Heard crazy.
Oh God, she's gonna poop in someone's bed any minute
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, Royal wakes up. There's a big pile of poop in his bed.
Vader,
Yeah,
why
no,
are you muted?
It's like The Godfather. It's like The Godfather, and it's gonna be like they pull the sheet back, giant pile of poop.
You have to carve the symbol into your boob to summon the dragon demon out of the void hole.
That's right.
And that's what's going to happen in the last episode. It's going to be a cliffhanger.
Dr. Farnsworth says Autumn is the hole or the void personified. That's interesting.
Oh my God! So is the mountain represented by
Royal?
Royal. So it's the male and the female.
I don't know, dude. I like the theory that Autumn is somehow connected to the mining industry, the
like
BY9 company. I like that because it would make sense. I still go back to that flashback where Royal falls into the hole and he sees his future. I guess it's not a flashback. His future flash, where he sees everybody there. The military's there. There's lights everywhere. I still don't understand why Autumn and her cultists are there. Like, who let them onto that land? Is it Tillerson land? Is it like army control? Like, who is in control of that land?
I think it's Tillerson owned, and
By then? Yeah.
and the mining that's going on is Autumn's company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why all of her followers are there.
Yeah.
But if you notice it in that future flash, there's that giant countdown clock that's at 0,
Right.
which was timing down to like Royal's appearance. And so there's a way that Autumn is predicting when events are going to happen around the void hole.
So, because she was the one who pushed him into that hole, she would have known the exact time and place that it would have happened. So when she moves forward in time 2 years after his death, she'll say, okay, he's going to show up here at this time because he told me about his experience.
Well, also, like she was able to see him at the point of his death, right? Because of her new necklace.
Right.
So she's figured out a way to kind of harness the like timinium. And
Are we? Is that what we're dubbing it?
I guess.
I love it. It's almost as bad as James Cameron's what is it? Unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
From Avatar, the worst mineral name ever.
What about Camronium from what was that show called? It was great. It was so good.
I don't know.
Futterman, Future Man.
Future Man.
Yeah, and they found a mineral that was Camronium at the bottom of the ocean, and it powered all the equipment. Did you watch that show?
No.
Oh, it's so good, Future Man. Oh my God, we have a lot to talk about.
Okay. I'll put it on the list. Timinium.
Oh, yeah.
God, that's so stupid. All right, yeah, that's a good name. It is now dubbed Timinium.
Timinium.
So we are. I've only seen us on YouTube. Our channel, I think, are the only ones talking about this show.
Well,
so
you guys
as
are talking
usual.
about it.
as usual, I always go out there and I find the most obscure freaking TV shows to talk about on my live streams, which explains why we have low views.
Might also have to do with the time that we air.
Yes.
It's midnight. My
Hey,
wife
you
went.
know-
Look, my wife. This is her nightly ask for ice cream. She's like, your live stream's almost over. I want ice cream. But yeah, that's it for these 2 episodes. I will agree with the opening chat that said it was kind of boring.
Alex, Joey's comment right above your wife's.
Timey
Winomium. Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey. Yeah, I can't even say that. I'm drinking too much
It's like
wine.
aluminum, but timey-winomium.
Aluminium, time travelinium.
Time travelinium.
I'm happy to report that I started actually watching something good on television for the first time in months today.
Oh yeah, what was that?
Yeah, we're watching The Offer. On
okay.
Plus.
Cool.
Actually, we watched the first episode just a few minutes ago. It's actually really good.
That's the one about the making of the Godfather.
The making of the Godfather. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, is it good?
I forgot that was coming out.
I've never seen The Godfather.
Yeah.
Dude, look at this super chat. JT is in Vegas right now, guys. Cheers from the House of Blues. Thank you, sir, so much. $2 super chat.
Who's playing?
JT,
who's playing House of Blues? JT.
JT, who's playing House of Blues? JT's in town, so he's available tomorrow night if you guys want to hook something up to go hang out with him. He's staying at the. I don't want to call him out on the live stream. How do we have 15 viewers all of a sudden, and we're about to end?
because I tweeted it out.
Oh, did you?
Oh.
And your massive following?
My massive 2,000 people followers. That's right. On the official Salting Your Podcast Twitter. Yeah.
And Midnight's Edge has been raving about that TV show. Yeah, I remember
good.
I was on their live stream when they were talking about like the trailer. So yeah, that's cool. I'm glad it's good.
I know Kadish would love it. You really
I'm
would.
looking forward to watching it.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought it was a movie, but it's actually a series.
No, it's a series.
Yeah. So I'm going to wait until it's all aired before I start watching it.
Kadish loves the binge model. Is
it
a mini series? Like it's only gonna be a one-off, like just one season, then it'll be gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
And apparently it's based off of the true story of the making of the Godfather.
Okay.
But I've heard from certain people that they're taking a lot of liberties with it.
There are 3 different events that happened in the first episode. That I'm totally derailing your show about your void.
We're done. That was the end of the episode, so we're done.
But I immediately, when I watch these kind of shows, I have my phone, and I immediately fact check. I go, "Oh, it really did happen." Mario Puzo and Frank Sinatra did have a go down at it in a fancy LA restaurant after he wrote this book. Yeah, it was.
Dude, Frank Sinatra is a fascinating character.
Yeah,
that dude was involved in things. He was a weird dude, man. Sinatra's interesting.
We had ties to the mob, dude.
Big time.
Like you don't have big ties to the mob without doing some shady stuff on the side.
Well, hey guys, if we're done, I got to run.
Yeah, buddy, we're at.
I'll see y'all in the morning.
All right, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Yeah, this is a great comment. Joey, thank you. Says the late night watch party is about to begin. The night owls are gathering. That is correct. So if you guys love Firefly as much as we do, head over to saltynerd.discord.com and jump into our watch party, which is going to be hosted by Mr. Vader down here. We're going to be watching episode 6 of Firefly called Our Mrs. Reynolds.
Is that the one?
It's a freaking great episode. I've watched it multiple times this week in preparation for tomorrow.
I had forgotten how good that episode was.
It's so good.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's got your favorite line in it.
It does. Yes. I swear on my pretty floor bonnet, I will end you. Right. It's a great episode. So join us on Discord. We'll be starting here. What do we normally do, Vader? 10:15 or so?
10:15 or so, yeah. That sounds good.
So in about 20 minutes, guys, at 10:15, we're going to start that watch party. So head over, saltynerd.discord.com. If you're brand new here, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week to discuss
the finale,
the final 2 episodes of this show. And then, I don't know, we're going to be flying by the seat of our pants at that point. I got to find another show to talk about. But that's it for our episode tonight. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. JT, thanks for the super chat. I hope you're having a great time in our hometown, and I'm really going to be pulling some strings to get to hang out with you tomorrow night. So I hope to see you soon. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Adios. Stay salty. And tomorrow, live on Twitter. Twitter Spaces, we're talking what freaking movie? Oh, sci-fi prison movies tomorrow on Twitter.
It's gonna be awesome.
Dr. Farnsworth. God, that freaking name cracks me up. Have a good night, guys.